Okay, so just a couple of more things. Um, this area down here is going to be a conference space, okay? So anytime we have a conference space, if we look in our assembly um, occupancy, depending on the size of it, it could be an auxiliary or an accessory space, but we'll determine that later. Actually, this space in here is going to have a little stage in here, and we're going to have seating in here because this is where a lot of rah-rah happens at pharmaceutical companies. You know, their whole thing is sales and research and marketing and development. So they need a space where the people can gather and be inspired, and that's probably going to be this space right here, and we'll talk more about that as we go forward. Or you know, would this be a place where people could go and get some exercise? That's another thought. That's what that space might end up being. But there will be a assembly space in here where they do gather. We're just going to decide in time whether it's here or whether it's going to be on the floor above, because as you can see, there's a space like this on almost every floor. What are we going to use that space for? Well, that'll be coming up next week. We'll kind of discuss that then. In the meantime, let's go back to the first floor and let's do a little bit of additional space labeling. Let's think about what we need to do. Now we know this room right now, they're saying this whole thing is the what? The lobby entry. That can't be right, can it? We got to really rethink that. That whole space isn't lobby entry. So what do we need to place in here? A room separator. So if we click here, and we click right on this side of the wall. We could have done it in the middle, but we're going to click right on that side of the wall. Now that we've done that, that space goes back to a normal size. And if we're wondering how large that space is, what's nice is we can come in here now and we can look, and it's telling us that it's 850 square feet. All right, which is a nice large lobby entry. Okay, we probably won't reduce the size of it, mostly because we want to still have good egress out of it, because that's a primary egress point. Okay, what about some of these other spaces? Well, you know, more than likely what we're going to have over here, and I'm going to draw that room separator, right? I'm going to draw a room separator from the edge of my elevator to maybe about right to that wall, and then I'm going to come right up that wall to here, and then oh, it wants me to save. I'll go ahead and save my project. And then I'll put another room separator from this wall here. I don't want to put it right on the grid line. I'll put that to about here. All right. There we go. All right. So now that I've got this room separator in here, I've got a few things that are happening. When I pull my next room out here, right, look what happens. It still looks like it's using up a whole lot of extra space in here. I don't necessarily want to do that right now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a room separator on this wall and come all the way down. Okay. And then I'm going to put a room separator right here on the edge of there and come over to this wall. All right. And now I can come in and say room, and in here I've got a room, see that? And I'm just going to call this circulation, right? That's circulation, that's 103. And remember, this stuff's important because we're going to have what? Room schedules. We learned that in our Revit class lesson today. So we're gonna make schedules from this. So that's circulation. We're gonna call this, let's see, this room here, this is going to be labeled S1 for stair 1. All right. Then over here, we're going to have the what? Right now we'll call our lab, our room, right? We're going to call this 104. And somebody back there is really clicking really loud. They might want to mute themselves. Okay, so there's the main lab down here. So that's 104, right? And now we have to start dividing up some of our corridor space. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say I need another room separator, right? So that's 104. What if I cut this off right here, right? So I've got corridor there, and I've got a separator here, and so I'll probably put a separator here as well, right? And here's why. So when I come in here and I click on here, I can say that that's 104. Whoops. And I'm going to click down here and see how I'm kind of blocked in right now. That's 105. That's going to be a corridor. This corridor is going to be what? Back down this end is going to be 106. All right. And this space down here, right? This room, we're going to call that 107. And then this piece of corridor is going to be 108. And so I'm going to come in right now and I'm going to click corridor 105, corridor 106. We'll come back later, but we're going to call this conference 107, and then this is going to be corridor 108. Whoops. And then this stair is going to be S2. Whoops. All right. And now I need to rename that stair. Should have did that the first time. I should also spell it right. Okay, so we've got our two stairs labeled now. So here's that 107, 105, 108. We've got all that down here. We're going to come to the other side over here, this mechanical room, right? Or not the mechanical room, this elevator lobby, right? And we'll label that in a second. This elevator lobby is going to be 109. And this room here is a mechanical room. That's going to be 110, right? This is going to be 111, and this is going to be 112, right? So this is going to be mechanical. Eventually, this is going to be women, men's. This will be the men's room. This will be women's. All right. And what you'll also find out is our women's room might expand a little in the future, and it may expand down to here to where this separator is. And the reason being is because in a lot of women's rooms now, not only do we have women's rooms facilities, but we also have a portion of that bathroom that would be dedicated for women who are lactating, right? So women who have babies and who want to pump breast milk, interestingly enough, the Affordable Care Act says that they need to be given space, comfortable space, to be able to both pump and store breast milk. So we're definitely going to have a space like that built into this women's room, and it's going to be something that we'll be able to take advantage of. So this little piece of space down on this end right here is going to be very helpful for that, and we'll get that going sometime in the next week or so. But right now, all this space is on this lower level is now accounted for, right? So this space is all accounted for. If you were wondering, in the back of this mechanical room, this is just chase space, and we're not going to label it as a room. That's kind of like space that is we can account for. So we'll label it, but it won't count as a room. So for right now, what I'll just do is just for purposes, I'll come in here and I'll just say this is chase or mechanical chase, mech chase, right, for mechanical systems. And that's going to be C1. We don't want to use a room number on that, okay? So here are all our spaces that we've dedicated now on our lower level. You should be able to go ahead in the video and kind of just follow me and do all that. And getting this stuff placed where we have it right now. It should be close enough to where we are going to eventually let it exist or let it be, but I just wanted you to see how we would divide up some of this space on this lower level right now. And next week we'll be moving on to the first floor, and the good news about the first floor, we'll be able to copy a lot of the first floor and move it up to the second floor. But we're also got to make a decision. If the rooms on the lower level are considered lobby entry and it's 100, see how these are 100s? What about the first floor? You would think, well, wouldn't we want the first floor to be 100? And maybe we want the ground floor to be different numbers. We'll talk about that next week. Don't let that worry you right now, because I'm sure some of you are thinking about that. What we want to make sure of, though, is that the numbers that we do use kind of make sense floor to floor. So we'll discuss how we're going to work that out next week. We haven't made our schedule yet, so this isn't a real big deal, and we'll get this solved, but we do know we're going the right direction with this, okay? We'll go ahead and stop the video, and that'll be it for today, folks. So have a good day and a good weekend, and we'll see you back on Tuesday.